Welcome to Space Matrix. Please subscribe and hit the bell icon for more updates. The Pacific Ocean is no longer just a vast expanse of water. It's become a stage for the world's most powerful militaries, a place where the tides of history are shifting before our eyes. Today, these waters are the epicenter of a new global rivalry, where nations test their strength and resolve in a contest that spans thousands of miles. Once the U.S. Navy sailed these seas with near absolute dominance. Now the Pacific churns with the presence of rising powers, each determined to stake their claim and forge new alliances. The old order, where one nation dictated the rules, has faded. In its place is a volatile mix of ambition, suspicion, and uncertainty, where every encounter could spark a new crisis. Today, the Pacific is not just a physical battleground but a digital one. Warships launch drones into the sky, while cyber warriors wage invisible battles from behind glowing screens. The United States now faces challengers equipped with cutting-edge technology and bold, unpredictable strategies, nations determined to rewrite the rules of engagement. Every maneuver is tracked, every signal analyzed. In this high-stakes environment, even the smallest miscommunication can be interpreted as a threat. The margin for error has vanished. Tensions run high and the pressure on every sailor and officer is immense. This is not the Cold War. The players are more connected than ever, their actions broadcast in real time, their intentions harder to predict. Power is measured not just in missiles and warships, but in data, code, and the ability to disrupt an enemy before a shot is ever fired. A single misstep, a misunderstood signal, a technical glitch, could trigger catastrophe on a scale the world has never seen. The Pacific's future is uncertain, its waters more dangerous and unpredictable than ever before. Every night fleets patrol in darkness, bracing for what might come. Around the globe, people watch anxiously as the balance of power teeters on a knife's edge, knowing that events here could shape the fate of nations. In this new era, the first shot may not come from a cannon, but from a keyboard, a silent strike that could change everything in an instant. The world was stunned as China and Japan launched joint naval exercises, Shared Horizon 2025. Historic rivals, now partners, their fleets assembled in the Philippine Sea, raising hopes and suspicions alike. China's advanced destroyers and Japan's formidable carriers moved in perfect sync, practicing complex maneuvers. The spectacle was both impressive and unsettling. Watching from a distance, the USS Liberty, an American destroyer, monitored the drills. Its mission: observe, report, and remind the world of America's presence. But tensions simmered beneath the surface. The Liberty's crew sensed history unfolding, uncertain of what this alliance truly meant. The atmosphere was electric, every move loaded with meaning. The world wondered, was this a new era of peace, or the prelude to something far more dangerous? The answer would come sooner, and more violently, than anyone expected. The trouble began not with the roar of missiles or the thunder of guns, but with a subtle flicker on the Liberty's screens, a warning sign almost too quiet to notice at first. Suddenly, radar and sensors blurred, filling with ghost signals. Phantom fleets appeared where there were none, and alarms blared for threats that didn't exist. The ship's electronic warfare team scrambled to cut through the digital chaos, working frantically to separate real threats from illusions. But the attack was overwhelming, relentless, and precise. Communications with command and nearby fleets dissolved into a wall of static. Every attempt to reach out met with silence. The Liberty was left isolated, blinded by false data, and deafened by electronic interference, adrift in a digital fog. Meanwhile, the joint Chinese-Japanese fleet shifted formation with chilling precision, tightening their circle around the American ship like predators closing in on prey. The exercises were over, the maneuvers had turned predatory, and every ship in the fleet now moved with purpose. Commander Eva Rostova, watching the digital assault unfold, realized with a sinking feeling that this was no accident. It was a meticulously coordinated attack, designed to cripple before a shot was fired. The Liberty, once a neutral observer in the war games, was now the primary target. Caught in the crosshairs of a new kind of warfare, the crew braced for the worst, their faces tense in the red-lit CIC, trapped in a sea of deception with no way to call for help. In modern warfare, the first strike is silent and invisible. Lines of code, not steel or fire, can decide the fate of a ship. The trap had been set with digital precision, and now the jaws were closing, leaving the Liberty with nowhere to run. The next move would be deadly. A single command away from unleashing real destruction. The attack was swift and merciless. 2 torpedoes, one Chinese, one Japanese, raced toward the Liberty. The first struck midship, the second near the stern, tearing the destroyer apart. Alarms blared, fires raged, and the crew fought desperately to save their ship. But the damage was catastrophic. The order to abandon ship was given. Life rafts hit the water as the Liberty began to sink. The combined fleet watched in silence. No rescue, no mercy. The sinking was more than an act of war. It was a message to the world. In minutes, the Liberty was gone, leaving only wreckage and survivors adrift. The attack was over, but the consequences had just begun. The Pacific had become a graveyard, and a warning: the world would never be the same. News of the Liberty's sinking sent shockwaves around the globe, dominating headlines and interrupting regular broadcasts everywhere. The world watched in disbelief as the story unfolded, with speculation and fear spreading faster than the facts. The Pentagon quickly confirmed the devastating loss: an American warship destroyed during what were supposed to be routine joint exercises. Images of the wreckage flashed across screens, fueling anxiety and outrage. Global markets plunged into chaos, with traders scrambling and oil prices spiking overnight. The United Nations responded by calling an emergency session as diplomats rushed to address the rapidly escalating crisis. The U.S. president addressed the nation in a somber televised speech, condemning the attack in the strongest terms and demanding immediate answers from both Beijing and Tokyo. The world held its breath, waiting for a response. In response, the Pacific Fleet was placed on the highest alert. Carrier groups surged toward the region, their decks bristling with aircraft and sailors preparing for the unknown. China and Japan countered with their own statements, each claiming the Liberty had provoked the incident and fired first. Their officials stood firm, denying responsibility and shifting blame. The world was suddenly split between competing narratives, truth lost in a storm of accusations, misinformation, and propaganda. Social media erupted with theories while news outlets struggled to keep up. America's closest allies rallied in outrage, condemning the attack and pledging support. Meanwhile, other nations urged restraint, fearing that a single misstep could ignite a global war. NATO called for emergency consultations, with world leaders gathering in tense meetings. The international community watched as the world teetered on the brink of a conflict that could change history. The crisis was not just military but diplomatic and existential, testing alliances, strategies, and the very fabric of international order. The Liberty's sinking forced every nation to confront hard choices, as alliances were tested and new lines were drawn. The world's leaders faced a moment of truth. The line in the sand was drawn, more visible and dangerous than ever before, as nations braced for what might come next. The stakes had never been higher. The world stood at a crossroads, with the next move uncertain and the consequences unimaginable. Diplomatic ties shattered overnight. The U.S. severed relations with China and suspended its alliance with Japan. Embassies closed, ambassadors recalled. The post-war order collapsed in days. Sanctions hit hard, global supply chains broke, and the world economy plunged into recession. The Pacific became a militarized zone, shipping lanes patrolled by armed fleets. A new arms race began: autonomous weapons, cyber warfare, and directed energy systems. The Sino-Japanese alliance solidified, matching America's military buildup. The world split into rival blocs, neutrality nearly impossible. Every incident risked escalation, the threat of war was constant. The dream of global cooperation faded, replaced by suspicion and fear. The Liberty's sinking marked the start of a new, unpredictable Cold War. The world entered a dangerous new age. The wreck of the USS Liberty lies deep in the Philippine Trench, a silent warning. Its loss is a testament to the dangers of modern conflict, where code and alliances can spark catastrophe. The lines between peace and war have blurred. Technology has made escalation swift and deadly. The world is more divided, more heavily armed, and more vulnerable than ever. The Liberty's fate must be a lesson, not a prelude. True strength lies in restraint, dialogue, and the wisdom to avoid war. The future depends on learning from this tragedy, choosing cooperation over confrontation. The echoes from the deep urge us to step back from the brink. Only then can we hope to prevent another senseless loss.